Hello, it's April and welcome to Snapdragon Hollow. I haven't filmed in quite some time, so I thought I would go ahead and jump in with a video out here in my garden. You will probably hear the birds and the chickens in the background. They are very active today. We are having an extra hot May. We have been very busy out in the garden planting all sorts of things. I'll insert a clip here of all the snapdragons that we got for our garden. Here are some of the 100 snapdragons that I bought this year. They're tucked on the cooler side of the house. Bought a bunch of different colors. You can see some other pretty plants ready to go in the garden as well. Some will be for my fairy garden. Here are more. I really love this beautiful pink color. And then this sort of orange color as well. So there are a little bit more than 100 snapdragons to plant. So I'm going to go ahead and get those planted, and I'll share an update when they're all done. I purchased over 100 snapdragons, and I'm going to be scattering them throughout my garden. When they get nice and established, I'll be sure and include a little video clip of that as well later on in the month. Today I thought I would go ahead and get started on building one of my fairy gardens. I would like to build a couple little fairy gardens throughout the garden, as well as just placing some of the miniatures in pots that I already have. First, I thought I'd go ahead and show you some of the things that I'll be working with. Most of the items are from Dollar Tree. I've got this little welcome sign and a pathway, this little cute garden swing, a little garden gate, some rocks and shells and blue glass. This little campfire. Looks like another garden gate here that matches, so we'll have to use one of those. This cute little pond here. This nice archway here. I got this at Hobby Lobby. And then some various little houses and things. I really like this one. The old woman who lived in a shoe house there. We've got some little figurines and things, and this cute little beehive house, as well as just some cute little signs to spread throughout the little garden. A little wishing well, some little windmills, and then we have our little gnome family. Again, you'll hear in the background a lot of birds. I have bird houses on the side of my house, and all of the bird houses are currently full of little baby birds who the mom and dad are working very hard to feed, little house sparrows. So that is what you are hearing. A lot of little sparrows and their babies. So now I'm going to go ahead and go over to the pot that I've set up. I've already put some flowers in it, and we'll go ahead and start decorating that. Okay, so here's the little pot we're working with, just a standard size garden pot. I've planted some Scotch moss in it, and of course some snapdragons here, and some pansies, some really beautiful, like sort of apricot orange colored pansies. I will probably be adding an additional flower, since sometimes pansies don't last that long into the summer. So I think I'll be picking out another plant to tuck in here as well. But right now I'm going to go ahead and get started laying out the little houses where I want, and thinking of the pathways and miniatures and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that, and then I'll share with you what I've done. So I've started setting out the items where I think I'll want them. I put a little welcome sign by this beautiful moss patch, this little fairy on a swing in between two of the snapdragons here, and then I've put the little house, the shoe house there. And then this little house, and this little house here next to the pansy. I've decided to plant some marigolds here because those will match the same color, and they'll continue growing a little bit more throughout the summer. I definitely want to save a room in this bed for the plants to expand. The snapdragons will get much bigger, of course, and I'll keep my eye on how they're doing throughout the summer, and if I have to reposition the houses, I will. Also put this little pathway between the little garden gate and the little water well here. Now I've set out some white rocks that I'll use to create paths. Also, we've got our little pond here. I'll probably get out some of the glass blue beads as well to create another little water feature here. So we'll go ahead and start with this. I'm just starting this summer with a really simple one. I've done a lot more elaborate fairy gardens in the past, and I may do that as the summer progresses and as I catch up with some of my gardening chores. Okay, so I've made a lot of progress here. I've laid out some pathways, and I've surrounded the little water feature here with white rocks. And then I made sort of a little stream leading off through the pathway here, alongside the pathway I should say. And here we have pathways leading up to each of the houses. So this is what it looks like from an overview here. So far I'm really enjoying that. I put a little teeny tiny windmill outside of the little old woman who lived in a shoe. So now I'm going to go ahead and put around some of the little gnomes that live in this garden. I guess this is more of a gnome garden than a fairy garden. So we have both, of course, the little fairy here and some gnomes that will be living in the teeny tiny houses. So I'm going to go ahead and put the little gnome family out, and we'll see how that looks. I've added my little gnome and fairy inhabitants to the little fairy garden here. There's our little fairy on the swing, a little girl fairy and a mother fairy and a little adorable baby sleeping. Here's an older fairy here by this. I found a couple other pieces that I added to this fairy garden as well. I found them from previous year's fairy gardens out in the garden here. So this is a little outhouse. They needed a little outhouse. Here we have this little gnome here in the beautiful little yellow flower house. Here's a gnome by the wishing well. I also found this little gazebo here, so you can see how this all turned out. I also went ahead and added my marigolds. So this was just a really fun and easy fairy garden. Most of these items either came from items I had previously, like my outhouse and the gazebo, which I think were also probably Dollar Tree pieces. Most of these items have come from Dollar Tree fairy garden pieces from over the last couple of years. You can usually find them over by the garden items in the Dollar Tree, and they have all sorts of different themes. And I find the rocks and the little blue gems over by the crafting aisle in the Dollar Tree. So for under $20 here, along with, of course, the cost of the plants and the plant pop. They also sell different seeds and pots and things like that if you don't already have a pot that you can use. I just like to find an empty pot every year and dedicate a couple of pots to my little fairy garden. So I did not do a fairy garden last year. So I'm really excited to have kicked off the year with this cute little one. I'm so excited to see what my grandchildren will think of this. I'll have to keep a watch on my younger grandchildren around the little blue marbles, of course, but this is in a little side garden that has a gate on it, so they don't just have free reign access to it. I'm always over here with them when they're in this garden. But I know my oldest grandson will probably get a real kick out of these, and I will let him move the gnomes around and play with it as he sees fit, because I think that that's part of the fun of a little garden fairy bed, that you can interact with it and play with it and move the pieces around. And when they're little Dollar Tree pieces like this, I'm not as concerned about the pieces potentially breaking. They're usually very fixable as well if they do happen to get a little chip. But yeah, I just thought that was a great fun way to kick off gardening season out here in the garden with our little snapdragons here in the back, because of course this is Snapdragon Hollow. We had to have a lot of snapdragons in the garden this year, and I'm very, very excited about that. I also love the ease of this project. With everything being available here at the Dollar Tree, it makes it a really accessible, fun, and easy craft. You can go a lot more creative and a lot more intricate with your design. But if you only have a short time to be out in the garden, you can definitely put together a really, really fun and simple fairy garden. So here's one more quick look at my little fairy garden here. All of the little gnomes in their houses. And I'll share it again with you throughout the summer as we add on to our little fairy village. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my little fairy garden. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful day and a wonderful start to their summer season. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.